Oh, the time has finally arrived. Welcome. This is Total Access coming at you live and direct. I'm Cole Wright. Now, Stacey Dales, Terrell Davis, Dwight Freeney, and Joe Hayden, they're here too, and we're going to pick Joe's brain as to what the heck is going on in the Steel City with Pittsburgh. But we'll begin this show in the desert. That's right. The Cardinals, they had the #1 pick, as we all know, and their new head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, he told us earlier this week that all options are open, and that includes second-year play caller Josh Rosen. Now, our insiders, they say the Cardinals have interest, but they're looking for a first-round pick in return. 3 teams reportedly showing interest in trading for Rosen. That's the Patriots, the Giants, and the Chargers. Those same reports say that their offers more of a second-round pick for Rosen, who went 10th in last year's draft. Here now, Kingsbury on Arizona's quarterback situation.
Josh knows our feelings on him, and we that hasn't changed. He's a tremendous talent. Had some tough adversity to fight through last year with some injuries up front, but I thought competed his tail off and worked hard and continued to get better. And so excited about his future.
Have you guys communicated with him about those feelings that you have for him?
Yeah, I've talked to Josh, and he understands it's business and what all goes with the first pick and what's going on.
Do you foresee Josh being part of your team in the fall?
Yeah, I do. I mean, when you have the first pick, anything can happen, as you know. But, he's a talented player, and we're very high on him, and that hasn't changed.
When you have the first pick, anything can happen. So let's bring in our NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport, with the latest on Josh Rosen's contract status with the Cardinals. Rap Sheet, what is it exactly right now?
He is a member of the Arizona Cardinals and will be until they make the decision that they're going to trade him, obviously a precursor to drafting Kyler Murray #1 overall. The problem is no one is actually clear that they want to do that. Everyone has heard the rumors. They have been pervasive ever since Indianapolis, since the scouting combine, but just based on conversations I've had with general managers across the league, they are not sure that the Cardinals actually, for real, want to trade Josh Rosen. In fact, my understanding is some of those conversations indicated very strongly to him that they want him to be on the team, and they do foresee it happening. Now, that said, there are a couple teams that are quarterback needy. You mentioned some of them there, although the Chargers wouldn't exactly make sense because they do see Phillip Rivers playing for them several more years. I would also add the Miami Dolphins potentially. They have no franchise quarterback now. They are building for the future. That is another spot that would make sense, probably more so than the Chargers.
3 more picks in 2018 for Rosen. 11 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Rap Sheet, good stuff. And Stacey, I think we need a Josh Rosen discussion. Can you help us out there?
I think that's a great idea. Joined now by our Hall of Famer Terrell Davis.
Yes,
and
indeed.
One of our very favorites here
Look at
at
that
NFL
jacket.
Network.
You can't get past that jacket.
Joe Hayden.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's hard to believe you're entering your 10th year in the
Crazy.
National Football League. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful to have you. Let's start with you, TD. You
I can't get past the ice and the jacket, but anyway, let's go.
You think about the Chargers. You think about the Patriots. You
Yes.
think about the Giants. Veteran quarterbacks there. Where should he go if he goes?
Ooh, I mean, where should he go? He should go to New England. I mean, if you're going to go anywhere where you got a starting quarterback, I look at Josh Rosen's situation where go somewhere where you got the veteran quarterback and, you got Tom Brady there. You've got a system that has been proven over the years that they develop quarterbacks, out of that system. So Matt Castle was there, Brian Hoyer, all those guys left New England. They didn't do well when they left, but when you're there, you're going to be developed to a really good quarterback. So if you can go there and learn from the greatest, as some people call him, the greatest quarterback to ever play this game, why wouldn't you go to New England, where you can learn from Tom Brady and then obviously sit for another year and develop those skill sets behind him.
And let's face it, he went 3-10 as a starter as a rookie. So learning behind somebody like Tom Brady, where do you think, Joe, Josh Rosen would, land if he were to go somewhere?
I think that the Patriots is a good one, but I think that the Chargers might be a little bit better for him.
Okay.
I think still behind a veteran quarterback, still being able to read behind Phillip Rivers, being able to learn. And I think that they have a little bit more weapons there, with Keenan Allen, with the running game, with Travis Benjamin, with those guys. I think that they'll be able to have a little bit more help around him. And then he'll be a hometown guy. He'll be right back in the crib, right back in Cali.
That's true.
Right where he loves to be. So I think that'll be a little bit more comfortable for him.
I think no matter what, they're hoping for a Jared Goff situation with him. I think teams who would trade for him are looking for building around him, putting more pieces, saying, listen, we know what you did your rookie season. It wasn't pretty. but will develop around you, have all these pieces, and hopefully have the same result as Jared Goff did.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you stayed away from the Giants because they pick at 6 and 17, and so we think they're going to maybe draft a quarterback. I mean, is that?
That's just a tough situation. I mean, like
Mike Shula's been everywhere.
where's the weapons for the Giants? You have Saquon. You got rid of your best player out there. So, I mean, what are they doing right now, and how are they going to surround you with players? And, I mean, again, this might be 1 or 2 years away from when he'll be a starting quarterback, but it's hard to pass up, if I could, New England and or the Chargers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then let's not forget, Josh Rosen was disappointed when he fell to 10th overall a season ago to the Arizona Cardinals. So maybe he's looking for a fresh start. In other news around the National Football League, though, wow, Greg Schiano resigning all of a sudden as the defensive coordinator in less than 2 months of the New England Patriots. He was recently named the DC, abruptly quit today, just weeks after accepting the job. And he, of course, replaced Brian Flores, who is now the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And so let's bring in more with Ian Rappaport. Ian, what the heck happened? He's been there for a month.
Yeah, and actually, he hasn't even been officially announced as the defensive coordinator. There instead was just an announcement that he is, in fact, resigning to focus more on his family and his faith. And when you talk to people close to this situation, they say a couple things. First of all, this is something that Schiano, has been mulling for the last 2 weeks or so. So the Patriots have been aware of this. Bill Belichick has been aware of this. And he said in a statement, Belichick did, that this is something that he supports, essentially Schiano stepping away from the football field to focus on a family situation. Unclear what that is, described to me as private. Either way, the Patriots now need a new defensive coordinator. Perhaps we'll see Bill Belichick take a much more heavy-handed role in the defense rather than name a DC this year. They have that. Plus, they got to fill a bunch of staff positions on the defense as well.
And Ian, I mentioned the Miami Dolphins, and all of a sudden, let's shift to the Dallas Cowboys, because all of a sudden they're going to get defensive end Robert Quinn, and that is going to create some insurance with that defensive line today. What went into that trade? Obviously a big one for Rod Marinelli, the D coordinator with the Cowboys.
Yeah, huge pass rush out for the Dallas Cowboys. 8.5 sacks last year for Robert Quinn, just 28 years old, and lands with the Dallas Cowboys. Much needed edge help. They hope on the opposite side of DeMarcus Lawrence. And this was actually several weeks in the making, so much so that Robert Quinn actually took a couple visits. Rarely do we see players take free agent style visits when they could potentially be traded. That's what happened here. Visited the Cowboys, visited the Saints, took a couple days to work out a deal. He did redo his contract, so under a different one-year contract with the Dallas Cowboys. And, of course, for the Miami Dolphins, rather than releasing him, they paid $1 million in a roster bonus and took the draft pick, which is something they have been focusing on.
Yeah, insurance, I mentioned, very important. Ian, both Randy Gregory and David Irvin suspended to start this season. Cole?
That's right.
All right, let's move to Houston, Texas, the epicenter of Thursday's Pro Day focus. And how about Ed Oliver, the University of Houston standout, turning heads on campus today. Oliver earning third-team All-American status in 2018 after leading his Houston Cougars in tackles for loss with 14.5. All that despite missing a 4-pack of games. So it sounds like it's time for a Pro Day report presented by Lowe's. Jane Slater, she has more.
Here in Houston, the emphasis was on defensive lineman Ed Oliver, and in talking to some of the scouts and GMs, he actually improved his stock today. One of the bigger concerns about him has been his size. Well, today, coming in at 6'1" at the Combine, he actually lost 6 pounds. He weighed in at 281, down 287 from Indianapolis. That also led to a pretty fast 40 time. Unofficially, we were told 4.75. Some scouts clocking him as fast as 4.71. Now, where he did struggle a little bit was on the bag drills. He said that he wasn't as conditioned as he would have liked to have been, but in all fairness, well, Baltimore's defensive line coach Joe Cullen really put him through the ringer. With that being said, Cullen told me afterwards that he thought he was disruptive, that this guy's going to really shine at the 3 technique position. And while there have been some teams that have talked about the possibility of playing him at linebacker, he thinks he's going to be an effective defensive lineman and sees him going as high as a top 12, top 10 pick.
Thank you very much, Jane. Now, the 6'1" and 7/8 defensive tackle is high on a few of our experts' draft boards. Peter Schrager, he unveiled his Mock 2.0 Tuesday on Mock Draft Live. He hasn't gone 4th to Oakland. Daniel Jeremiah thinking otherwise. 21st to Seattle. But let's hear what our guy, Dwight Freeney, thinks when it comes to Ed Oliver and his game. What do you like about it right now?
I mean, I love it.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, low leverage.
Okay.
All right? He has natural 6'1", low leverage. It's all about leverage and playing defensive line. So he already has that. Okay. So he gets under blockers. He does a great job. His quickness, I love, makes guys flat out miss, and his explosiveness. He makes guys miss, and then he makes them pay for it. If he decides to try to clean him up, he cleans that guy up and makes the play. So I really love what he's doing. He's been doing it for a while, and he's going to continue his success, I think, in the NFL.
Yeah, trying to get a beat on him. Thanks again. Please try later. So when it comes to comparisons, who are you comparing Ed Oliver to right now?
I think the closest right now is Geno Atkins.
Okay.
I think Geno Atkins is a guy who makes plays in the backfield, tackle for losses all day, has 9+ sacks in the last 4 years. So he's a guy who spends a lot of times in the backfield, and that's the same thing Ed does.
Yeah. Geno Atkins, 7-time Pro Bowler, went in the 4th round of 2010. And Oliver, he's going to be a first-round selection because he's the first 3-time All-American in the history of the University of Houston. So we'll see how he plays on Sundays. And speaking of the NFL draft, it's almost here, and nobody covers it better than us, the NFL Network. We break it all down with our Hall of Famers and draft experts to go behind the scenes and inside of those war rooms, covering all 32 squads as they pick the stars of tomorrow. The future, it's now. The 2019 NFL Draft, Thursday, April 25th, 8 o'clock Eastern, live from Nashville, Tennessee, the Music City, right here on NFL Network, ESPN, also on ABC. Don't miss it. Coming up, let's talk team needs. The cynics would say Pittsburgh needs to spend some time out of the news. Indy needs to spend some more of that cap space cash. And Denver needs to spend some time learning how to scout quarterback talent. Sorry, John. But this isn't about dissing. This is about drafting, team by team and need by need. Plus, annual questions in the NFC North. Does Aaron Rodgers have enough help? Can the Bears D carry this team? Why aren't the Vikings as good as we think they should be? And does Detroit have a chance? But first,
What a job by Joe Hayden.
Joseph Walter Hayden III on a rule change that would have come in handy last season.
Let him play.
And on the soap opera of Steelers football.
You feel me?
Any chance we're making too much of all this? Next on NFL Total Access.
NFL Total Access is brought to you by Burger King. Introducing BK Cafe.
Well, it's been a very busy offseason, to say the least, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, along with the 2 high-profile departures of Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. You see them there. Tight end Jesse James, a good guy up and coming, left for Detroit. And then tackle Marcus Gilbert traded to Arizona. The Steelers added a receiver, Dante Moncrief, and then 2 defensive players to fill some holes, Mark Barron and Steven Nelson, we think actually will make a big difference with his versatility. Who better to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers than Joe Hayden? Are you sick of the drama?
You know, definitely hearing about it from the outside, you know, it's a lot. But just being in the team, talking to my guys, talking to Juju, talking to Cam, we're just really excited, and we just can't wait to get back to football.
So 2 of the guys on that list, though, are like offensive power machines,
Yes.
and Le'Veon Bell and AB, and they're gone. And what is your reaction to that, the loss of that production, Joe?
You know, I think it's 2 totally different situations with Le'Veon and with Antonio Brown. I think with Le'Veon Bell, that was tough to see. You know, he was one of the best running backs in the league. I felt like he was. And with him just wanting to get that guaranteed money, he saw Todd Gurley signed for $50 million guaranteed, and he's looking at it like, yo, I'm the best running back in the NFL. That's what I need. And with the Steelers, you know, just the way that they run the organization and the way that they don't give as much guaranteed money, but it's when you sign it, you're going to play out your deals. So, I mean, for them, that's the way that they run their business. With Le'Veon, I'm the best running back, I need 50. So it's kind of, that was tough. But with Antonio, I mean, that was just a whole different situation, and it's just, it's a crazy business, and it's definitely relationships, and people feel certain type of ways. So that went down the way it did, and I wanted AB to be on our team as much as possible. I did everything I possibly could as far as talking to him and seeing what I could do, but you know, it didn't quite work out that way.
It is a business, and you are one of the leaders. You're the leader of the secondary, leaders of this defense. By the way, you have the 2nd most passes defense in the NFL since 2010.
Thank you.
You're pretty darn good, man.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
You've got a head coach who's entering his 13th season in Mike Tomlin. I know you're behind Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, for sure.
But when you look at the top and you look at Mike, what is his pulse on this locker room?
Man, he has complete control of the team. You know, you have two totally different situation with Le'Veon and with Antonio. You know, it is what it is. It's a business, and you can't blame Coach T for that. I think that he's one of the best coaches I've ever played for. You can only ask for honesty. He keeps it real with you. He lets you know exactly where you stand. He lets you know exactly how he feels about you, if you're productive, if you're not. So he treats everyone fairly, but I'm going to say everybody doesn't get treated the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly there was some news this week that will impact you, my friend, when you talk about some of the rules changes and the fact that offensive and defensive pass interference, calls or non-calls, can now be waved down by the coach. Hey, take a look at that. Or in the last 2 minutes, taken a look at by the booth, they will be. You were a part of one last season, which is interesting. And Sean Payton from the Saints actually brought it up. In week 16, as you take a look at this here, you and Alvin Kamara sort of got locked up, and everybody questioned it. It was a 33-yard penalty, and they win the game. I mean, react to that.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough for me. You know, it's just two dudes jockeying for position in the back of the end zone, and in this 4th and 1, I'm covering a running back, so we're just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to locate the ball. And with the pass interference calls, man, I could definitely see now how you can be able to review it. It's amazing because this is a 4th and 1. You know, and they're going to get the ball all the way down at the 1-yard line, and that changes the whole dynamic of the game and everything we had going on. So,
hold up, my eyeballs popped out of my head when I watched that. If I'm being honest, I'm like, you breathed on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sean Payton had your back on that one.
Definitely, I appreciate that.
So
too.
you like the opportunity to have it replayed.
1,000%.
Okay.
Just because it's not a 5 or 10-yard penalty, this is a spotted foul. That was a 40-yard gain on that 4th and 1. So with those big time plays, you got to get those ones right.
Gotcha. So the Baltimore Ravens take the division last year. Lamar Jackson, you know, all this talk with them, and then Cincinnati, new head coach. But I got to tell you, I watched you and Jarvis Landry. And now I got to watch you against OBJ with Baker Mayfield throwing the football. And he targeted you in your Week 8 game 10 times last season. So he's coming after you. What do you think about this division and specifically the Browns?
Man, I think that I really like what Dorsey's doing with the organization. You know, he's getting some real talent there. Baker Mayfield's a great quarterback, and he's a young guy. So when you have a young quarterback on a rookie deal, you do what you can to surround him with talent on other positions. So Odell, Landry, those dudes are special talents, and I just can't wait for the lineup against them.
I cannot wait. When that schedule comes out, I'm going to circle those games
for sure.
For those matchups. Lastly, you know, something, Joe, that gets so often overlooked in our league is just all the philanthropic work that you players do and the good stuff you do in the offseason. You just got back from Abu Dhabi,
yes.
and you're an ambassador for the Special Olympics for the United States, and your brother has a soft place for that, Jacob.
Yeah.
Explain what you just were a part of.
I was out there. We actually went out there. They held the World Games for the Special Olympics. And me, my little brother, he's a Special Olympics athlete. We flew out there to Abu Dhabi and just went out there and had a great time with the Special Olympics. You know, we handed out awards. I handed out awards for cycling, weightlifting, soccer. You know, it was just it hurts. It hurts my heart to see, you know, how last time with just about the budget cuts and everything like that, you know, just seeing these kids and being able to see how much it really impacts their lives. Not about winning or losing, it's just about being able to compete and being able to show people that everybody else they want to be involved, they want to run track, they want to just have their peers, you know what I'm saying, cheer for them. So it's just something that it's really near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to continue to raise awareness and put my time and effort and finances towards it.
I think we need some flag football in the Special Olympics myself, and I would want to be on your team if you ever have a team in any capacity, Joe Hayden.
You.
Cole, we'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Stacey. You made mention the Ravens. They won the North in 2018, but they'll look a whole lot different come this season. Not for the departures of Joe Flacco and T. Sizzle, not to mention C.J. Mosley. Our Aditi Kinkawala sat down with the front man in the Charm City, John Harbaugh, to discuss that and a whole bunch more.
So, the last few weeks, a little bit of a roller coaster. In some way, you lost the fabric of your team. Your longest tenured player, your leading tackler, your leading sack man, your best leader, your quarterback. Was there one of them that hit you? You're smiling. Was there one of them that hit you, or is that just like a trajectory of awful news right there?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Well, was there one of them that hit you more than any other?
They all hit me. You know, I was really surprised by Sis. You know, that was the one I was shocked by. You know, and I expected him to be there. But then when I heard his reasoning and, you know, what he was thinking, then it's like, okay, you know, and you get to the point now where people do what they have to do. Everybody's coming from a different situation, you know, and the one constant is that there are no constants. You know, things are going to change, and every year is going to be a new year. It's funny. We tell our team at the beginning of the year, or even and toward the end throughout, you know, it'll never be the same. It'll be different week to week. It'll be a completely different team from year to year, and then it turns out to be absolutely true, you know. So that's just the way the NFL is.
So was that a personal conversation? Did he call you and tell you first, or did you hear from someone else?
I heard through Ozzie first, and then I kind of read what he said. Then we texted back and forth. So
you're still friends?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then after that, very good news. Earl Thomas, Mark Ingram, and one of the first things you said is that these guys are Ravens already.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, that means I think you know. You know, I think people that watch football like you do know what it means to play like a Raven and be a Raven. And it's the interesting thing is the guys know.
Recovery period, and that Seattle will, quote, just hang with him. Moving along, now last season, Isaiah Crowell inked a 3-year deal with the Jets. However, that Lev Bell signing putting a crimp in those plans somewhat. Thursday, Crowell and the Raiders coming to terms on a 1-year deal with a value of up to $2.5 million, according to Ian Rappaport. The signing of the Crow, potential beast mode contingency plan. In other news, Ed Oliver, the University of Houston standout, turning heads at his pro day on campus today. Oliver earning third-team All-American status in 2018 after leading his Cougars in tackles for loss, 14.5. Also, the first 3-time All-American for Houston. All that despite missing 4 games. And James Slater, she went one-on-one with Big Ed after the day's festivities.
Let's talk about that 40 time. I had some scouts clocking you at 4.71. I think unofficially we were talking 4.75. Did it help that you found yourself down about 6 pounds ahead of running this year?
Nah, but it being light helps. But like I said, I feel like I could have went way faster than that. But it wasn't about running a fast 40. It was about coming out here and competing and have fun. So when I heard what I ran, I was cool with it. I'm not gonna hurt myself trying to run 4.6 because everybody wanted to see 4.6. So I just came out here, put down a little time. I could have went 4.6 easily, but I'm not gonna come out here and hurt myself trying to run it.
You know, of course, we've got the draft coming up in Nashville. Have you given any consideration as to whether you'll be there? Because talking to people today, they think that you really helped your draft stock, talking about you being possibly a top 10, top 12 guy.
I'm not worried about draft stock. I came out here, competed, had fun. My brother's out here doing pro day again. It's just nice to do one more thing with him. Like I said, I'm just out here to have fun.
Yeah, it sounds like we will be seeing you in Nashville.
We'll see. I got invited. My mom really wants to walk on the red carpet. It's one of those things when mama say go, so I'm pretty sure I'll be down there.
I could have run faster, but I didn't.
I know, interesting.
Good stuff there by James Slater. Hey, let's take a look at the Steelers draft board. Guess what, guys? His stock, Ed Oliver's stock, is actually rising. So it would be hard-pressed to think that he'll be there at 20 when they pick. But if you look at the Steelers, they pick at 20. They have 4 picks through 3 rounds. So I turn to the Pittsburgh Steeler, cornerback Joe Hayden, entering year 3 as a Steeler. What do they need?
Man,
what do you need?
What do we need? I think we can linebacker would be a spot. I think ever since we lost Shazier, that's been something that, Vince Williams and our linebackers that we have are great, but at the same time, losing Shea, you can't really replace him with one person. So I think a linebacker will help us, and then losing Antonio Brown is another great thing. I mean, he's the best receiver in the league. So I mean, you can never have too many offensive playmakers to help out with Juju James and the other James Washington. So definitely I feel like inside linebacker and wide receiver will help us out a lot.
Hopefully Steven Nelson through free agency can help you guys too.
Oh, for sure.
In a 100% way in terms of versatility. But let's take a look right now at the Indianapolis Colts, because Dwight Freeney, and we'll get to Terrell Davis in a second, you won a Super Bowl with the Indianapolis Colts. And you know what? Jim Irsay just loved what Chris Ballard did in free agency. He gave him the green light. 9 total picks, starting at 26. What do you need?
Well, you know what? T.Y., he's my guy, but he's been getting hurt last few years. You know, we always need depth at that position, especially having a guy like Andrew Luck at quarterback, right? You need somebody he can throw the ball. I like A.J. Brown. I like the Ole Miss boy. I like him. He's a baller, man. And the thing is, he had over 1,200 yards twice. Everybody was targeting him, and he still had that type of yards. He knows how to produce. He knows how to catch. He may not be the fastest, but he still runs 4.4. So I think he can be a great fit for the Colts. More offense, the better. Let's go. Let's go get it.
That makes sense
That's
to
good,
me.
yeah. T.Y. needs another receiver. You are
Absolutely.
right about that.
Yeah, I
Take
saw
the pressure
T.Y.
off
on
him.
the hill, on the field at Arrowhead, and he shouldn't have played that game to
what I'm
advance to
saying.
the conference
The
championship.
more
So
depth,
he needs
better.
some help.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, TD. Denver Broncos. Let's take a
Yeah.
look quickly at what they have to
Let's
offer.
see.
I'm excited about this one because they start at 10, and they have some needs, but there's a lot of buzz about QBs.
Yep. You talk about quarterbacks, and listen, quarterback to me, it's not. When you say the word need, it means you have to have it right now. You need that position. I don't think Denver needs a quarterback. It would be nice to have a quarterback right now, but they don't need one. They have Joe Flacco. I believe in Flacco. I think he can get it done because the quarterback you draft right now is not going to help you this year, in my opinion. Any guy they're going to draft right there, Drew Lock, those guys are not going to help you. But for what they do need, offensive line. Build that offensive line. And with Flacco, you've got to protect him. Give him some pass protection. O-line has to be there. Maybe a guy that's out there right now is Dalton Reisner, Kansas State. You know, he was a tackle, but he played center as a freshman. So he's a guy that's kind of versatile. But if they can solidify that line, that's one thing. And then in middle linebacker, Brandon Marshall signed with the Raiders. He's not there anymore. And so if they can get a middle linebacker in the middle of that defense right here, we're looking at Devin White. So you could probably get him first. If you have at number 10, you might go with Devin White number 10 and then an O-line at 41. But again, the quarterback thing always comes back up.
Yeah.
Because the quarterback, in my opinion, it's not a need. It's a luxury for the Broncos to have.
So
right
you're
now.
saying if Haskins or Drew Lock aren't there, and I know you lost Billy Turner and Matt Paradis on the
Yes.
interior offensive line, you're telling me that if Drew Lock or Mr. Haskins are not there at 10, or are there,
No,
you're
the
not going
10?
to take them?
I'm not saying that you wouldn't take them. You said need. I'm saying having them would be great.
Okay.
But it's
Let 'em
not,
know, T. Let 'em
it's
know.
not a need.
All right, let's get over to Cole.
Needs and wants, much different come draft day. Now, just 1 year into the league, and Derwin James already among the best safeties in the game. And some of that praise coming from his versatility as a safety who can make plays both deep into the secondary as well as in the box. So for more on the guys who are versatile when it comes to the draft, let's send it over to our Path to the Draft crew. Gang, take it away.
Well, you know, here on Path to the Draft, it is all about the more you can do. Rhett Lewis here with two guys who can do it all. Bucky Brooks, Brian Baldinger, helping us discover the most versatile players in this year's draft class. Bucky, you want to kick us off with one that fits that bill?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Baylor. Jalen Hurd, the wide receiver. It's uncommon for a guy to go from running back to playing wide receiver, but Jalen Hurd has been able to do it successfully. We're talking about someone who ran for 1,200 yards in the SEC as a tailback for Tennessee. Decides he wants to be a wide receiver, goes to Baylor, remakes his body, changes his game, gets almost 1,000 receiving yards, and then plays some short yardage back for them. You don't see this kind of versatility. I think that is going to make him valuable. We haven't talked about him a lot, but he's going to be a high commodity.
Remember, he was the guy at Tennessee, partly responsible for Alvin Kamara not getting a ton of carries. So obviously a guy with a ton of talent. Baldy, who strikes you as versatile?
Yeah, Trayvon Westcoat at West Virginia. And he's a one-year player. There he was at Lackawanna Junior College. But when you watch him play, he could be your tight end. He could be your fullback, your H-back. He could be a receiver. He could play special teams for you. He's 270 pounds. He moves bodies. I would, if I'm a coach, I'm telling my GM, I'm not coming out of this draft without Trayvon Westcoat.
You like him that much?
I mean, I love him.
Yeah,
I think he's a solid player.
I've seen teams at the Senior Bowl trying to use him different ways, too.
Yeah, I think he can be used in a variety of different ways. But the guy I want to talk about is Memphis running back Darrell Henderson. Okay. And when I look at Darrell Henderson, he is an explosive playmaker, guy that really can get it done. You see, 8, almost 9 yards per attempt. Yeah. Physical player, does a great job of eluding defenders in the hole. He's a terrific playmaker, very versatile.
Versatility with those three guys in this year's draft class, and you can find all the more you can do guys here every day on Path to the Draft, Monday through Friday. We will see you at 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
Well, draft day, Rhett, inching closer by the second, and we cover it better than anyone right here at NFL Network. We break it down with all of our Hall of Famers, TD included, and our draft experts to go behind the scenes and into those war rooms. We cover all 32 teams as they look to select the stars of tomorrow. But the future is well. Chicago got just a bit faster, and the Vikings, they got a little bit bigger. So let's talk about some of the storylines as they pertain to said division. And Stacey Dales, as we know, you cover the NFC North like a blanket. So let's start in the land of 10,000 lakes, the Minnesota Vikings. What can we expect in 2019?
Well, last year, Cole, was an underwhelming year. So for me, for this team and their quarterback, Kirk Cousins, this is a prove-it kind of year. Because I'm going to be honest with you, the conversation's not going away. Until he wins a big game, he's 0-1 in the postseason. He's 1-6 versus postseason teams last year, and he's 5-13 in career primetime games. Until he wins a big game, it'll always be asked, Mike Zimmer, can you guys win with Kirk Cousins? So what they did is Kevin Stefanski's your offensive coordinator. He wants to run the ball, and then you went to Denver and you grabbed Gary Kubiak and Rick Dennison, the offensive line coach. You brought in more of a zone scheme, and so you're going to run the ball more with Delvin Cook. That's a big thing.
Why are you bringing up all that old stuff with Kirk Cousins? Those are all numbers in the past. It's looking to the future.
Because they have Delvin Cook, and they need to run the ball.
All right, very good point. How about year 2 for Matt Patricia? How about the Lions?
Well, this is probably the most interesting to me because I remember talking to Matt Patricia last season and taking over as a first-time head coach. He said to me, it's been like drinking water through a fire hose. I mean, it was a transition for Matt Patricia. He's a defensive guy. So let's go out and get some Patriots. Danny Amendola, take care of that slot that Golden Tate left open for you. And how about let's go get Trey Flowers, who's probably one of the most underrated defensive ends. He can do everything in the NFL. Took him from New England. And you add Justin Coleman, who is a versatile corner to the back end of your defense. And I think go get a defensive tackle to shore up that middle. We saw Ed Oliver earlier. Yeah. If Quinnen Williams is still there, which he shouldn't be, take one of those guys.
And maybe he'll realize that pencils don't actually make marks on laminated play sheets. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But how about year 1 for Matt LaFleur? What's the outlook in Green Bay, Stacey?
I think it's exciting. They took a scrub brush and they scrubbed that thing up and down and cleaned it out. One of the things they did, though, that really it got cleaned out, but it's going to be added to is the defense. And Mike Pettin is still there in the second year as the defensive coordinator, and he knows the personnel. And so for me, with this group, they have to improve defensively. I think free agency was a success. Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Adrian Amos, one of the most underrated safeties in the NFL. But I say all that, and you better go out because you have 2 picks in the first round and get 2 offensive playmakers to close out Aaron Rodgers' career because he's going to end there. Just had that big deal last year. So for me, if DK Metcalf is there, if the tight end,
George Fant, TJ Hawkinson, either one of the guys from Iowa right about now.
I'm sorry, I blanked. Yeah, if one of those guys is there at 12, you got to get him for Aaron Rodgers because add that to Jimmy Graham and Devontae Adams. They're going to be pretty good.
All right, this prides me to say, but we'll finish with the best team right now in the division, the Chicago Bears, the reigning division champions. Anything new we can expect out of there?
Not a whole lot of changes for them, and it's kind of interesting. They only have 5 picks, the Bears, in this draft, Cole. So I asked Matt Nagy recently, what are you going to do about that? And he said, we're excited because we feel like we evaluate players really well. And that's indicative of what Ryan Pace has done, the general manager. Anthony Miller, the wide receiver, was a really good example of that and trading to get him in the draft recently. So for the Bears, though, I think the addition of Chuck Pagano. You lose Vic Fangio, who was just simply magnificent for their defense. And now you bring in this guy. And I'll tell you 3 things that they love about Chuck Pagano. He's got energy. He's going to be aggressive. The scheme really isn't going to change in that 3-4 defense with Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks and company. But the energy and the aggressiveness, and then he's going to put his spin on it slightly and was very successful. I remember back to 2011 as the D coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. They were the 3rd total defense. They were the 3rd scoring defense. And he's bringing all that energy and ready to join a really good character team in the Bears.
Yeah, and he inherits that #1 overall scoring defense and that #2 overall defense league-wide. So something tells me he's going to have his pick of the litter in the Windy City.
And he is racking up the frequent flyer miles. The team's scheduling visits with Gary include the Jets, Bucks, Jags, Bengals, Seahawks, and both Bay Area teams. He's considered an edge rusher. But today, he told our Andrew Siciliano that he's willing to play anywhere his new coach tells him to.
I played a 5, I played a 3. I'm able to stand back up, play outside linebacker, drop into the flat, drop into the hook. I'm an Army switch knife, man. I'm everything you need.
I know you're going to tell every coach, hey, I'll do whatever you want me to do. But, Rashawn, what do you want to do?
I want to rush the passer. You know, I'm a defensive end, and that's what I want to do. I want to cause havoc in the backfield, you know, set the edge on run and make big plays.
Okay, so you want to rush the passer. Rashawn, you only had 10.5 sacks. Is that because they played you inside? How do you answer that?
You know, it's simple. You know, I love my defensive coordinator, love my defensive line coach. You know, just wasn't the right scheme for me, man. But you know, I played head over the tight end. You know, I did my responsibilities, and you know, Michigan defense. You know, 3 years I was there, we was #1 defense in the country 2 years in a row, and you don't do that. People don't play their position.
Rashawn, you're from Jersey. You've said you'd love to go to the Giants at 6. However, the Jets are also from Jersey. They're picking 3. Rashawn, what's more important, going to the Giants or going higher if it means going to the Jets?
Oh, man, being from Jersey is a great opportunity, you know, to be able to play for the Jets or the Giants. But, you know, I just want to find a perfect fit for me, man. And whoever team drafts me going to get one hell of a player.
But were you a Giants fan growing up over a Jet fan?
I was just a lover of football. I can't even answer that question.
All right, Rashawn, so you're 40 type. You're at a 4.58 at 277 pounds. Now, that is the fastest 40 at 275 or more since they started keeping track. You are training with Michael Johnson, the Olympic sprinter. How fast, Rashawn, if given another shot, could you go?
Yeah, if I get another crack at it, you know, I'm going to run a 4.46, man. That's how I feel. I'm feeling good, I'm moving good, and I'm moving better than ever.
Wait, 4.46?
Yes, sir.
Well, if that's the case, Rashawn, then you're playing wide receiver.
Man, like I said, I'm Army Swiss knife. Whatever you want me to do, I'm able to do it. About running, rush the passing.
Guys, you haven't heard everything there is to say about the retirement of Rob Gronkowski until you hear what Dave Dameshek has to say.
Who's the best of the best? A discussion our guy, Dave Dameshek, is at the forefront of. Dave, go.
Listen, I love to debate almost anything. However, everything is not debatable. For instance, Gronk is the best tight end of all time, and I'm sorry, life's just too short to indulge you devil advocates out there on this subject.
Dude, that was unbelievable. How the did you catch that?
Matter of fact, in honor of Gronk's retirement and in the name of saving time for more worthy disputes, let's establish here and now as many of pro football's other undebatable bests, like Gronk's QB. He's the best.
You're the greatest quarterback in the world, man.
See how easy this is? Next, the best running back I've ever watched is Walter Payton. He also happens to have the best trophy I've ever seen. The best wide receiver? Well, I mean, Jerry Rice equals chalk here, but lots of pro football players will tell you it's Randy Moss.
It's going to be a good match, man. I'm looking forward to it.
See, now this is a worthy debate. Ergo, we'll kick it to the side for now. Back to business. The team with the best collection of 88s, the Dallas Cowboys. Thinking of you, Michael Irvin.
That's pretty cool, man.
The best player I've ever seen is Lawrence Taylor. The Raiders have the best uniform.
It's legendary.
The Steelers have the best helmet. Justin Tucker's the best kicker ever. I can't rightly say who the single best cover corner is, but I do know the 3 best are Deion Sanders, Rod Woodson, and Mel Blount.
What time is it? Showtime, prime time.
Best nickname? Mean Joe. Best football player face and best football player name? Otis Sistrunk. Case closed. Sorry on the name thing, DeBrickashaw. You were very close.
We're champs! Woohoo!
Best bust? It's prime time in his bronze bandana. For now. Alvin Kamara and his nose ring are going to look awfully good in Canton for all the time. As football proves, by the way, bust is the English language best, or at least rangiest word. If you're terrible, I mean really, really bad, you're a bust. But if you're really, really generationally great, then you get a bust in Canton. Fun. Oh, yeah, you know, one more. Best sport, NFL football, bar none. Settle down there, baseball.
Boy, Dave Dameshek really tried to sell that one there.
He sold it.
Joe Hayden, any fun Gronk stories for you defensively?
Man, 2 years ago, he actually drove the ball all the way down the field on us when the game when Jesse James tried to reach the ball across the line. So that was one where he killed us. But then I had a great play last season against them.
Nice.
Thing is, the ball was flying, fluttering in the air. Gronk was there, Edelman on my back. Interception, so that was
You got him back.
Got him back. I got him back.
I like how you said, I think, as the footage of it was actually rolling on right there. We have actual evidence right there. But, Joe, you're going to be back tomorrow for the show Total Access?
Oh, for sure.
Dwight,
for sure.
you as well. Stacey, TD, he won't be here. That's the good news. But we will see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening.